Our next game is Landstalker, The Treasures of King Noel, which was nominated by @OVFaceNugs on Twitter and developed by Climax Entertainment, published by Sega for the Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive. Earliest release date and territory was October 30th, 1992 in Japan. And if you really, really, really want to hear a lot of stuff about Landstalker, check out the old Game Club 1990X episode of...
It was one really old one.
Very early.
That was like our 6th or 7th episode.
I didn't even remember we did that one. It's been that long.
Yeah. No, here's the thing. Cal, that was where you got involved because the first thing you did was you did like a pixel art.
Yeah, that's my first pixel art for.
Yeah, you did of whatever the creepy like horned fairy is from Landstalker, and since then you've been associated with us and can't quite shake us. Kind of like herpes.
Same sort
Once
of
you get us,
you would get from said fairy.
Yeah, this is
Landstalker.
It's like Zelda, but it's isometric, which I don't know. I don't know about that. Like it's confusing in a way. It's got some, but it's also got some pretty kick-ass tunes, and the artwork is pretty good. And
I think I very rarely do you say it's like something but isometric and mean it's better. I mean,
well, probably better than Solstice, I'll give it that. I do like Solstice, don't get me wrong. But
it's not as confusing and difficult as you'd think it would be from that description. As I recall, now, granted, you can hear us talk about this for probably 3.5 hours if you listen to that old episode, but the short version is that the isometric part of it really only gets frustrating in the dungeons where you've got like the floating platforms moving back and forth and stuff like that. And
I do have a problem with the controls. I may speak real quick.
Yes.
Actually, did you want to finish your point? I'm sorry.
I can't remember what I was going to say, so go ahead.
I'm really not a big fan of the controls in this game because the problem is you can only move like in 4 different directions, and there are a lot of times you'll just end up walking in the wrong direction, trying to just smack into something and probably die. That happened to me a lot, at least.
It's very strictly
definitely
grid-based.
a little bit more focus required. You are supposed to go, oh yeah, that's the direction. Don't keep walking in the wrong direction. You gotta really be a bit more deliberate in this game, because it does run a little slower than, say, Zelda.
I mean, this game certainly does have its flaws with the interface alone, but I do have to give credit that there wasn't really many other Zelda-likes in the Genesis. I mean, I think the other big ones anyone else would know would be Beyond Oasis and Crusader Senti, but
And this one was quite early, I think, because this one was 1992, as we said, which puts it, I think, below a couple of those, before, rather.
Yeah.
So, it definitely, and I think this is the main thing Landstalker does, it fills a niche that the Mega Drive Genesis really struggled to actually have solid games in that specific field. So it does do pretty well in that area, and it's surprisingly good in some ways. The dungeons are quite large and quite expansive with lots of stuff going on. It actually uses isometric things in terms of the way objects move and the way enemies move, actually make use of the fact that it's isometric. And, that's cool. I really love the way, like, the world in general is sort of set out. You go into a building and it actually kind of feels like a real space, which is nice. And there's a lot of effort put into the art and animation in this game. Like, you can see it, and it's just like, what is the main character's name? It's something ridiculous. Nigel. It's Nigel. That's right.
He's British.
That's a great name, I gotta be honest.
That's not ridiculous.
Legendary hero
that's
Nigel.
Solid.
Wanders around, and he actually looks really cool with his, like, sword swaying side to side. He's got, like, really nice, just general animation quality in this game for an isometric game is very high.
I do.
And the character design is really good. They've got like the big chunky Mickey Mouse boots on everybody and stuff like that. It is cool.
Friend of the show, the Gunhard, said the style is like anime Don Bluth, and I don't think that's entirely wrong.
No,
Yeah.
he's running the money.
Yeah, it definitely has that sort of 80s fantasy sort of appeal to it, and I mean, yeah, it is a very fun-spirited game. I mean, you know, plot's pretty straightforward. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of a factor that Nigel is totally in this for greed and, like, no heroic motives, so that's something a little different.
I do appreciate that, yes.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty straightforward. I think you save a princess at some point. I mean, the final boss is literally a dragon, spoilers, which is, like, the most standard fantasy final boss that you can get. Now, that's a bad thing. I have no problem with dragons. But, you know, if it's not the most completely distinctive world in its map and its settings, it still does have a personality to it that, you know, not even anything on the SNES got. It feels like it has a bit of a Western influence in how its characters are designed, which...
I wonder if that's because it's kind of associated with the Shining Force guy. Is it?
Yeah,
it is associated
definitely.
with Shining Force.
Which, you know, isn't a Western developed game, but it's just a game that has like a lot of that same like Disney-esque quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Sega games around this time really felt like they were sort of deliberately trying to use some Western influences to really get that cross-national appeal, which really did pay off for them. Not so much in America, but outside of America, it definitely paid off.
Yeah, they gave them good European standing.
You know, and Genesis, you know, Genesis games at this time, like, one thing that I noticed as a consumer of that era was that they really were bright and colorful. They weren't quite as detailed, but they did have this bright, colorful aspect to them that did seem cartoony. And this is one of the games that seemed very cartoony and very cool. It was just fun. Like, we can't really talk about this too much more because like we said, we did do like an entire like 2.5 hour episode of the podcast about it.
Of course, we know you're not going to listen to that, but there's also not a lot to say about Landstalker, I don't think. Like, it is quite a basic experience.
We said it. Whatever there is to say, we don't remember, but we probably said it. We got to rank this thing. What are you guys thinking?
It's an alright game, but nothing that's truly exceptional, I'd say. And
I feel like it gets a better reputation than it might deserve in some senses because it is like the closest thing to Link to the Past that the Genesis had.
No, that's Crusader Ascenti, and that's a much better game.
True.
Let's be honest, you guys are downvoting this by at least 2 letter grades because of the Green Maze section alone.
That sucked.
Green Maze is to this what that Firefly Forest or whatever was in Vagrant's Story. I forget what the name of that place was, but places that are just obtuse for the sake of being obtuse. It just like has every mean trick of perspective you can think of, and I'm pretty sure it has at least one point where if like you don't land a critical jump or something, you have to basically start all over from the beginning, which is just... It's not challenging,
the game
it's
does
just
enjoy
obnoxious.
That, doesn't it?
It's really obnoxious. It's not challenged.
The stacking
it's just being
areas
a jerk.
on top of areas.
Yeah.
And making you fall through several of them at once. It's a big fan of that.
Yeah, maybe too big a fan.
I'm thinking like...
I had it somewhere around Rainbow Islands was sort of... don't really know where, but...
I don't think I disagree with that. I'm just got...
Doesn't sound terrible. I was going to put it maybe...
Maybe a bit higher up,
but
But
yeah, you're right. Like Rainbow Islands is not. It is more of a. I think it's better than Rainbow Islands.
I'd say.
The thing is, like, when we get I'm gonna read out our thing to make sure people know where we're sort of coming at here. We've got Commander Keen Episode 1, Knights of the Crystallion, Vendetta, Uni Races, Rainbow Islands, and Octopus, which is the Game & Watch game. And I think most of those games kind of shoot a little bit higher, try a little bit more. Landstalker's main thing is it looks really nice, but it kind of fumbles a lot with its gameplay when it really didn't need to. They're like,
How about above Knights of the Crystallion? What do you think?
Yeah, me too. I'd much rather play Landstalker.
Knights of the Crystallion is a great game, and I think you guys are...
shut up.
You're like the one guy who says that.
You really are. I was gonna actually highball a little more and place it between Ninja Gaiden and Lethal Enforcers. Because I just want to say, it sort of has parity to Ninja Gaiden, is that it is a really technically well-made game overall, but it just feels a lot more frustrating than it should. And I'm pretty sure that the challenge was pretty much the... I mean, I wasn't on the Ninja Gaiden episode, unfortunately, but challenge was really the crux of why you rated it lower than others.
Well, it's just kind of unfair, and there is some unfairness. I think that's good. I agree. So I second Sotenga's...
Oh, all right.
Can we put it below Lethal Enforcers?
Hey,
I don't want to beat it up too much, but Lethal Enforcers at least was a genre codifier.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Between Lethal Enforcers...
Also had the Sync Revolver.
Yeah, true. It's hard to beat that. So between Lethal Enforcers and the very boring Clash of Steel, for which I would play Landstalkers any day, to be certain, over that.
And we're done.
All right.
Sorry, throwing a little bit of random shade. Wow, we actually cleared this one this quick. Everyone go and listen to that past episode. I forget how far back it is. It's in the single digits, but
we're done. We won't be offended.